You don't want to leave the pop or even bottled water out heading into tomorrow because you're going to have just chunks of ice and pop cans bursting because of the brutal cold that we have heading our way. This is the coldest air that we have had this season so far. And, you know, it's not going to be comfortable for those Amazon drivers that have to deliver. So, yeah, definitely tip the drivers because they're still working. You know, they're helping make the holiday season go off without a hitch. So winter weather alerts. We're bringing those to you on the west side of the state, northern lower Michigan, UP. So you notice that they don't stretch into southeastern Michigan. But if you recall, this time last week, this is almost an identical setup. So the bulk of the snow part of this event will impact from central to the western portion of lower Michigan. So we're going to see accumulating snow. We know how to handle about 1 to 3 inches of snow. That's really not the concern. It'll be blowing and drifting snow, potential snow squalls, and just the brutal wind chills that we have in store. So kind of a trifecta of weather conditions leading to our concerns for tonight into tomorrow morning. But it is worth noting this lake effect snow warning that's coming off of Lake Erie for Erie and Buffalo. That's because of maybe 6 to 12 inches of accumulation. And we'll have anywhere from 3 to 7 inches on the west side of the state, adding to some pretty significant snow depth in northern lower Michigan and the UP. So right now, persistent bands just churning in northern lower Michigan. We're starting to see this get closer to about Muskegon, north of Grand Rapids, and a few of those flakes have worked their way into southeastern Michigan. Not accumulating snow, but as we've been checking in, Pontiac still has a few flakes flying at this hour, where we sit right at 32 degrees. Now, as you work your way farther east, anywhere from Port Huron and down towards Grosse Ile, we're above freezing, Metro Airport at 34, but we're really at the warmest part of the day as temperatures will be sliding. So as you get the kids ready for the bus stop, today, not too bad. Maybe they have a few flakes flying at recess, but we'll be right around the freezing mark at drop off. It's tomorrow morning where I'm concerned for kids that have to stand outside for a prolonged amount of time, that we have sub-zero wind chills, not to mention construction crews or Amazon drivers or whoever is working outside having to deal with those temperatures. So clouds and radar, let's take you through the timeline here. I think midday you might see some of that snow in the thumb, and that's where we could end up having some higher amounts just because of how much longer the snow event would be up there. But otherwise, some scattered snow showers and bands working their way in potentially for the evening rush hour drive. But what catches my eye is that deeper band by about 9 o'clock this evening, closer to I-94. That could potentially lead to a snow squall, if not some rapid accumulation. And the persistent snow stays west of here. So that's why those alerts are off to our west. And that's from the National Weather Service. However, we want to forewarn you of inconvenient weather tonight through tomorrow morning. So snowfall totals anywhere from about 1 inch to 3 inches in those bands that are a little thicker. You might just get a coating in areas that don't see persistent bands. So it's really not the snow that's an issue, but it's going to be these wind gusts on top of it, blowing any snow that there is around by tomorrow morning before daybreak. Those wind gusts are between 30 to 40 miles per hour, and that's going to lead to the really low wind chills. And so overnight into tomorrow, wind chill readings dip below zero. Actual air temperatures will be anywhere from about 10 to 15 degrees, and that's going to make salt less effective as we head into tomorrow morning, so you could have a few slick spots. Here's the good news. So we're going to lift that forewarn alert after tomorrow morning. We're warming things up, and we'll be in the 40s by the tail end of the weekend and into early next week.
Well, looking at the screen right now, it says 34 degrees, and you said this morning that that's going to feel balmy.
When those, you know, feels like temperatures tomorrow are below zero.
Oh, no.
I mean, just puts it in perspective,
yeah,
right?
It does.
So, all right, let's start with winter weather alerts at this lunch hour because we've already seen some decent lake effect bands coming off of Lake Michigan, impacting the west side of the state and stretching as far really to about Lansing or so. So we have the pink winter storm warnings that would indicate anywhere from about 4 to 7 inches of total snowfall. And for the winter weather advisories, about 3 to 6. And this is going to take you all the way towards Lansing, Jackson, just kind of butting up against southeastern Michigan. But we will get snow bands out of this system. It's just not going to be as prevalent as what is right along the coast there on the west side of the state. So satellite radar showing you those lake effect bands as we speak, and they're much more widespread in northern lower Michigan and off towards Muskegon, even as far south as Kalamazoo. We've had a few little streamers work their way here into southeastern Michigan, spitting out some snow, not leading to any kind of accumulation. And as I check the map right now, it doesn't look like we have any real bands of snow making it to the surface. Some of that is aloft, and we have temperatures that are anywhere from freezing to the mid to upper 30s, but we will be declining in temperatures as the day goes on. So we'll be right around 31 degrees or so at 5. And this is important to note because it's really about after 7 or so that I think we get some of the heavier snow bands that potentially roll through the area, and we will be below freezing at that point. So let's walk you through the timeline because this is a little bit of a trifecta. We have snow, we have gusty winds, and significant wind chill readings. So we'll start with the snow. So we have a few of those little bands at this lunch hour like we saw there, but I will stop the clock at 6, and we have some more significant bands that are starting to roll through into our western counties. But after 8, this is 9:30. This is the better chance, I think, of us seeing maybe a few embedded snow squalls, which would bring reduced visibility and rapid accumulation in pockets. This is not a widespread event, and where you see those snowfall totals is going to drastically differ depending on where those bands set up. A few of those streamers will persist into Thursday morning, but otherwise it's going to be the wind and the cold temperatures that'll become the headline by tomorrow morning. So here's the snowfall forecast. Latest data coming in will have us maybe picking up by the evening commute about 1/3 to 1/2 of an inch along that I-94 corridor. Then as we advance this into tomorrow morning, overall snowfall totals, some areas just getting a little bit of a coating, maybe not even much down into Monroe County, but where that band sets up, which could fluctuate a little bit, but as of right now with this model data, anywhere from 1 to about 2.5 inches of snow. So temperatures versus the wind chills, overnight lows bottom out in the teens, but it's going to feel like we're below zero. And it's worth noting because once you get to about 15 degrees, 1 pound of salt will only melt about 6 pounds of ice. Drastic difference from when you're at 30 degrees, and that would melt 46 pounds. So tomorrow morning, anticipate a few slick spots for roads that haven't been treated, even if there's not a ton of snow. It's just because it will be slicker. Even the ones that have been treated, it might not be as effective. Wind gust forecast overnight. Winds are now peaking upward of 30 to 35 miles per hour. And so then that leads to the dangerous wind chills. By tomorrow morning, we're waking up to feels like temperatures around zero, if not below zero. And even into the afternoon, as temperatures rise to about 20, it feels like single digits. So this is the coldest air of the season so far. Now, we don't have any kind of wind chill advisories in effect, but enough that this is going to be impactful for those that have to work outside, especially our delivery personnel this time of year. And then, of course, kids that have to stand at the bus stop. So you want to layer up to make sure you protect your skin. Otherwise, this cold snap, hey, it's going to be short-lived. We start climbing out of it this weekend and we get back into the 40s by Sunday.